Hi, welcome to Just a Bit of Home. Today we're going to work on how to make some paper flowers. I will give you a couple options on how to make these. These ones are made with 8.5 by 11 paper. This one's made with cardstock and this one's made with a less denser cardstock. First, you're going to need a template or you make your own. I have a template available on my Facebook page, Just a Bit of Home, and you can print it out either on a laser jet printer or any type of printer and cut it out yourself, or you could make your own and make your own templates. Sky's the limit. And the third option is you can print it out, we'll cut it out on your Cricut. I'm using 8.5 by 11 today, just regular photocopying paper, just to kind of show what you can do even if you don't have a Cricut. Now, if you're going to use a thinner paper, you will want to use a lighter grip mat. I'm using the blue light grip mat today, just because copy paper is very delicate. And I'm using the spatula to help lift the paper up off, because if you pull too much, you will rip the paper. And that can happen with cardstock too, even though it's a thicker paper. It can snap basically. Now I'm pulling out the part that I'm actually not needing, and there's my template all cut out. I didn't have to do the physical cutting, which is actually quite difficult for me right now with my hands being so sore. Oh no, careful, don't want to rip it. Once you get it off your mat, I use the Cricut tweezers, and the reason I like them is because you don't have to squeeze them. You just have to squeeze to open it. Put the end in, such like that. And then I just start to twirl, and I'm using my fingers to round out the edges so that I can make it. With cardstock, you would need a more, you'd need to round it out more, and you might even need to do this more than once, possibly twice, to get that curl into the paper. What you want to do is be keeping the bottom of the paper as lined as possible. Remember, these roses are not perfect. Squish them, do whatever you want, give them some bends. Just be careful when you're twisting not to rip or pull. It's not a very hard project now that I've got it figured out. And literally it's just twisting with the hands, and it does. When you get close to the end, you can either let it go, or you can go all the way to the end and then let it go. You can twist it by hand. You can see how it unrolled a little bit. Just tighten it back up. Pretty simple. And I'm gonna, so with the, you just have to squeeze and pull out. There you go. I'm gonna let this go a little bit so that it'll loosen up. And I like it to flip around and have some bend in it. What I'm gonna do now, I take the glue gun on that big fat end piece there, spread the glue around, and I'm gonna roll this up a little bit more, and I'm gonna glue it. Now this is a smaller flower. Oops, it didn't stick. Of course, when you're making a video, nothing ever goes right the first time. But I'm just going to put a little bit more glue in there, that's all. So this is not my best flower. Of course. But I don't want to do 5,000 takes. Or do I? Well, there's one. I have another template already cut out in a different type of paper. We'll see if that works out a little better. So see how rigid it is? Just round it out a little bit. So I'm just lightly squeezing to make it. Now this paper is kind of like a recycled paper. It's not construction paper, but it's not cardstock either. I like it because it has that ability to bend and twist. It's not as rigid, but it's not regular paper. And this one will be very pretty, I promise. Or I delete the video. Not sure. So again, and I'm gonna let it loose a little, and then I'm gonna just basically bend it and twist it. I wanted this one to be a smaller rose. And there you go. So just play with them, loosen them up. You can print different sizes, different diameters. So if you like this video, check out my page on Facebook, Just a Bit of Home. I'm on Instagram, Pinterest, and my website is www.justabitofhome.com.